One of the reasons I am very wary of any leftist treating a rightist position with some courtesy is the fact that that position can easily become a deflection thanks to the generalized incompetence of most leftists. Case in point, the very real threat of Putin's regime, now used by leftists as an excuse for their own corruption and degeneracy. Let's explore. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now, as I'm sure you already know, the Democratic Party servers have been hacked and roughly 20,000 emails have been leaked to the public using WikiLeaks as the venue for delivery. Now that's all fine and dandy until a rumor emerged that the Kremlin may be involved in the hacking, allegedly with the aim to help Trump, who is allegedly the more favorable candidate for Russia's interests. Now, armed with this chain of suppositions, the Democrat media complex started its own propaganda war by dismissing anyone expressing any sort of concerns over the actual content of the leaked emails as a Putinist trumpeter who wants to re-establish the Warsaw Pact. And allowing such a degenerate train of thought to ride unchallenged is indeed dangerous for all the sides of the argument. Now, first of all, it is indeed true that the Kremlin's ideologue, Alexander Dugin, does indeed favor Trump over anyone else, something which was never a secret to begin with, as Dugin himself even made a video about it in English and uploaded it on YouTube. Dugin's rationale for his endorsement of Trump is that Trump is an isolationist which would serve Russia's interests in Ukraine and Syria. Now, whether Dugin is correct in his assessment or not is of little importance right now. What is of importance is that soon after Dugin made this endorsement, nice things by Putin about Trump started to be said, and Trump himself did in fact return the favor. Well, somewhat. But anyway, now does that make Trump a pawn of Dugin? Or, let me put it this way, does the value of Trump suddenly goes down just because Dugin happens to like him? Because generally the answer to that is no, because after all, nobody can control who will Kremlin's ideologue happen to like in a particular electoral race. Now secondly, it is indeed true that there are Kremlin-backed hacking groups that have created damage in various parts of the world in the past, and in the recent past I might add. But does that necessarily mean that this was indeed the case here as well? Well, hardly. In fact, the evidence of Kremlin involvement in this issue is very slim, and as much as an anti-Putinist as I may be, the evidence available simply is not good enough to even speculate about Kremlin's involvement, let alone definitively assert that this was indeed the case. But you know what? Let's assume that everything is true. Let's assume that we know for sure that Kremlin-backed Russian hackers did in fact hack into the Democrat servers and then leaked all those emails with the aim of harming the Clinton campaign to the benefit of Trump. Let's assume this train of thought is entirely true. Heck, even let's assume that anyone expressing any concern is indeed a Putinist Trumpeterian who wants the restoration of the Warsaw Pact, the USSR, and has an altar of Dugin and Putin making sweet love as they make the Soviet Union great again. See what I did there? Now seriously, let's assume all of that is true. Okay, now what? How is that changing in any way the validity of the evidence itself? Because after all, the Democrats did not rush to deny that those emails are real. Now that would have been fun to watch, but they didn't even bother to try that. So if nobody denies the authenticity of those said emails, then the next logical step is to have a discussion about the actual content of the information rather than the way they were obtained. I mean, the way they were obtained is a matter that should be left to the police and other information services that are more or less secret. After all, in an election campaign, one uses every political talking point that one can get, and yes, that includes emails. In fact, that especially includes emails since it's a race that has Hillary Clinton in it. Look, the fact of the matter is that this leak has confirmed beyond reasonable doubt that most of the things non-Democrats had suspected the Democrat establishment of doing are, in fact, true. Now, I will leave links in the low bar for those of you into heavy reading, but the emails showed that there is indeed rife anti-Semitism within the Democrat Party, which everyone knew about already since it's a phenomenon typical of the far left. They also showed that there were indeed Democrat-funded anti-Trump protests and violent outbursts meant to discredit either Trump or Bernie Sanders. Now, the treatment that Bernie has received is of no concern to myself. I regard Bernie as a dangerous Bolshevik and thus deem appropriate for him to be treated just like communist parties around the world have treated their members all the time, with disdain and contempt. However, Bernie does have supporters, as shocking as it may be for those of us who actually know directly what socialism means in practice. And those supporters may not be that content to learn that the Democrat Party is, first of all, not really that Democrat, and secondly, that their candidate indeed may have never had a fair chance of getting the nomination, since everything was even more rigged than what the non-Democrats had been able to observe already. So, under these conditions, focusing on the hypothesis that the leak may have come at the behest of Kremlin-backed hackers is a very, very, very weak attempt at deflection that not only avoids confronting the problem, namely the fact that the Democrat Party is rotten, but a deflection that also erodes the otherwise legitimate topic of Putinist aggression and hybrid war. Nothing good can come out of allowing the Clinton campaign and the totalitarian ideologues within the Democrat Party to use this topic to deflect attention from their own rot and their own mistakes. Now, as many concerns as one may have over her competitors, most are preferable to Hillary Clinton. After all, we don't get to read her competitors' emails on prime time, so at least they know the basics on how to be a strong leader. Now, Hillary, if she wins, will not only be the first woman president, but also the first victim president. And who the hell wants a victim in the White House? That's all I had to say. Thank you for watching.